Hello class, this is Mrs. Gallegos and today we're going to have a tutorial on significant figures and calculations. This information and practice problems can also be found in Chapter 2, Section 3 of your book, pages 40 to 42. So, how many significant figures should be in my answer? So for example, if I'm measuring the volume of an irregular solid by water displacement and I need to subtract two volumes, how many significant figures should be in my answer? Also, what happens if I then want to calculate the density of a substance whose volume and mass that I have measured? How many significant figures should I keep in my answer? So this tutorial will answer that question. So first of all, if I'm going to add or subtract numbers with significant figures, I need to round the answer to the fewest number of decimal places. And that's very important to answer. So the only numbers that I'm keeping track of are the ones that come after the decimal place. For example, if I'm going to do the problem 28.0 plus 23.538, notice they're a different number of decimal places. This has 1, this has 3, and I'm going to add 77.218. This has 3 decimal places. How many decimal places do I need to keep in my answer? Well, what's the least number? This one right here. It has 1 decimal place. So that means that I really can't record my answer in more than 1 decimal place because this number didn't have more significant figures, and so I'm really only certain to the 10th place. So my answer, I'm going to knock off these digits, and I'm going to use this one right before the one that I'm keeping. I'm keeping 1 decimal place. So I'm going to look to this number to know if I need to round the number next to it. So if my number that's next to the decimal place that I'm keeping, if this number right here is between 1 and 4, I will keep this number the same. I won't round it up. But if it's between 5 and 9, I'll round up. So since this is between 1 and 4, I'm going to keep my number the same, and my answer will be 77.2 centimeters. And then always box your answer after you're done. So what if I'm going to do a different mathematical calculation? Oh, actually no. Why don't you try? So right now, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can come up with the answers to these questions. How did you do? Well, right away I see that the number of decimal places here is 2, and the number of decimal places here is also 2. So if I add up the two numbers, 93.26, actually this is subtracting, minus 81.14, I get the number 12.12 centimeters. So I'm going to keep these 2 decimal places. Now over here, I'm going to be adding 258.3 plus 257.11 plus 253. My answer is 768.41. Let's look at decimal places. This has 1 decimal place, this has 2 decimal places, and this has 0 decimal places. So this one is the least, and so my answer will have 0 decimal places. So I'm eliminating these 2 numbers after the decimal place. I'm going to look here. This number is between 1 and 4, so my answer will be recorded just as it is, 768 kilograms. Alright, what if I'm going to multiply it and divide numbers with significant digits? Well, in this case, I'm going to round the answer to the same number as the fewest significant figures. So this time I'm going to consider all the numbers. So here I have 3 significant figures. Here I have 3 significant figures. Remember, this is a final 0 after the decimal point, so it's significant. And here I have 3 significant figures. And this is a captive 0, so it is significant. So that means that my answer is going to be rounded to 3 significant figures. And my answer is 23.944. So I'm going to keep 3 significant figures, and I'm going to get rid of these. Now I look to this number right here. It's a number 1 to 4, so I'm going to report my number just as it is written, 23.9, and then I multiplied centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, so my answer is going to be centimeters cubed. Go ahead and box your answer. Okay, how about you try? Go ahead and pause the video and try on your own, and let's compare answers when you're done. Alright, so first I'm going to get my number. So 24 times 3.26 is equal to 78.24. Now I'm going to go over and look. Since I'm multiplying, I'm going to have my answer will have the same number of significant figures as my least significant figures. So here I have 2 significant figures, here I have 3. So that means my answer is going to have 2 significant figures. So I'm going to knock these off. I'm going to look to this number right here, and I see that it's a number between 1 and 4, so I don't need to round my last number. So my answer is 78 meters squared, and I box it. Alright, looking down here, first I do my math. 4.84 divided by 2.4 is equal to 2.0166666. So now, how many numbers should be in my answer? Well, certainly not these many significant figures. So I count 1, 2, 3. This number has 3 significant figures. 1, 2. This has 2 significant figures. And so my number will have 2 as well. This is the least number. So I'm going to knock off all of these numbers. And so my answer will be 2.0 meters per second. And this is the way that we're going to be showing per second to the -1, which means inverse. That's a negative. And so remember, this 0 is the final 0 after the decimal point, so it is significant. So hopefully this video has been useful and shown you how to determine the number of significant figures in an answer when you're multiplying, dividing, subtracting, or adding.